Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. Well, I'm a little bit late, but the housing start numbers are already out. Oh, you know what? Let's start the music here first. Housing start numbers are already out. U.S. housing starts change month over month, 21.7%. What? That is insane. I don't think I've ever seen the number anywhere even remotely close to that. Is that for real? Hold on a second. Is that a zany number? Seems like it could be a zany number. Let's, what is, it doesn't do it. Forex Factory doesn't do it in a percentage. That is a zany number. So we come over here to Forex Factory and we look at, this is one of, if not the biggest beat in housing starts ever. So the market is obviously selling very hard on that. Now it is a retracement of the movement that we had overnight, but it has significant, geez, maybe back to 3.8 again. That's about where we were yesterday. Well, let's go through some charts first. If I can remember which one of these charts it is. Here we go. Okay, so here you got ES. Retracement of yesterday's move. This was a move that happened during the European session. So during the European session today, they retraced that. But now we're getting housing starts, and that is selling. Also note that we do have some Fed speakers today, and we got Powell testifying to Congress tomorrow. And sometimes with Powell, that kind of like mutes everything else. So we'll see. I think that there's probably a decent amount of business that needs to be done today, though. So here's the S&P 500 continuing a gentle downtrend so far. Okay, sneeze. Oh. Just no. Sometimes you think, oh, you know, like it's down, but it's only a little bit, and that's okay. But when you start to get like a little bit every day, that's when you really get concerned, because that kind of turns into the sort of trends that really trend, right? So, you know, that's how things started in 2021, for instance. Here we got oil. So oil is kind of still oscillating around in here. The key driver of the action here this morning is China. China growth concerns continues to dominate over in Asia here. Silver and gold down a little bit. I bet you gold's going to get hit pretty hard from this these housing start numbers. And then you got copper. Copper actually rising here. They were down on some of the China numbers and stuff, but it looks like since then they have recovered and copper is doing okay. We got Bitcoin. Bitcoin having a little bit of movement in the past day or so, but nothing too significant. And then you got the dollar up at 102. So, do we have anything else? When are the, oh, we do have some bill auctions at 9:30. When are the speakers? Feds Bullard speaks. Oh, that already happened. Feds Barr and Williams speaks. That's after the stream, 9:45 my time, so 11:45 Eastern time. Okay, so let's oh, somebody was making a suggestion on Discord. What platform/broker are you using? I am using Jigsaw Day Trader primarily as my execution platform, with NinjaTrader 8 as my charting right now, and I am going through EdgeClear as my broker. With I think the FCM is Dorman. Okay, so yeah, some people had some good recommendations in Discord, but ultimately I don't think that they help, because it's like regular users are coming in and like messaging people, and so like any kind of verification stuff that I could do to keep people out, to keep scammers out, doesn't work, because these are all like regular users that can connect their accounts to their YouTube and so forth. Welcome back. Thank you very much. So I've got a script that bans the impersonators as soon as they try and impersonate me. That does a good job. And I think that now that I have been given the chance to set my permanent Discord name, and I got Speculator Seth, so that should also help, right? So there's only one true Speculator Seth on Discord now. But I think ultimately Discord's got to do some stuff on their end too. Okay, now another thing, I don't know if I'm actually going to be too active today, to be honest with you guys, because, well, I don't know. This housing starts number is definitely going to move the market. It looks like we've kind of come to an area where there should be some liquidity at 113 even. So we might get a little bit of a distribution there. Given that degree of beat, this is totally a situation where it could continue, but very likely that we get a short pause right here. I've got a bunch of other stuff on my mind. I don't know if I'm really in the state to trade today. Good things going on, but there's a lot going on right now. Also, we got our new microphone. I went and I ordered it yesterday, and they overnighted it. I was like surprised. They must have already had it in the shipping facility, but I got it. So you want to look at the new microphone? Got it. It's I mean, it's not too special of a box, but I really like it. And the caster is kind of reflective, so it feels nice. But here's I already opened it up to get rid of like any of the packaging and stuff. Comes with a bag, and then you got the microphone. And the microphone, that is like solid metal, very, very nice. And I think it looks nice too. I think it looks real nice. Oh, there's a little tag down on the bottom there. What's that say? QA. Oh, okay. So it was Q8, I guess. Okay. And it comes with... Oh, I see. So here's the connector. I don't know if I'm going to use this connector, though. What's your trading platform? I already said that. Jigsaw. I have an affiliate. Every time I mention that I use Jigsaw, I should mention I have an affiliate link down in the description. Not only because if you end up getting Jigsaw, I want you to use the affiliate link, but because I want like full disclosure, right? Yeah, I don't know if I'll use this one because we got this shock mount. Well, I don't know. Will this shock mount work? I don't know. Where have you been? Oh, I was on vacation last week. Really, it was really a bad week to go on vacation, wasn't it? It was really a bad week to go on vacation, but I'm not in charge of those things. You know, when the women decide on a day, you don't dispute it. Well, I still think that there should be a decent amount of liquidity in the 113 area. Like, look, they did trade 5K, 4K here. It's still pushing down. Offers are really heavy. This is it'll be tough to get any kind of a break on this today. Okay, so I'm gonna try switching the microphone out. All right, so I think I'll just mute this for a second so that you don't have to hear it. Okay, we're back. That's interesting. Is still I still feel like I need a better audio interface. Let's see here. What am I at? Yeah, in fact, this one is even a little worse than the previous one. But once I kick it up enough, once I kick it up enough, it sounds great. I'd even say it sounded better. It sounds better than the 55. Yeah, still dynamic. What interface? I'm using a Scarlett, a Focusrite Scarlett I2i. Is it I2i? Hey, you know what? The market did end up bouncing there. 13K at 1300. I was really doubting. Yeah, I think it's a 3rd gen. I forget how you tell, and every once in a while I'll look it up, but I'm pretty sure it's a 3rd gen. But yeah, the preamps on it are just not quite enough. So I don't, one of the things is that I end up having to boost the gain quite a bit on the OBS side. So I don't know. I probably could use a better. I would like to get an audio interface. I guess I'm kind of waiting because I don't think that there's a perfect one yet. Oh no, the red one is gonna sound way more open. It's true. Like that's why I use the red one for videos, because it does sound better. The problem with the red one is that it's going to pick up more background noise. So let's do a test. When I'm typing, it's not bad. Like when I'm typing, it's low enough that it is not activating my gate, so you won't hear me typing. That's good, right? Yeah, it also gives you a little, like a dynamic mic. It gives you more of a radio personality kind of sound, you know? Like it's a more full voice. This is the EQing on this one, or should I say like the response on this one is nice though. I think it's better than the 55. For what we're doing. The 55 I felt had a little bit more top end, because it was more for vocals for like singing in front of an audience or something like that. This one is more like a radio mic. Matt is high on mics and lighting. You know what? Well, that's kind of funny that he's in that stage, because I feel like I went through that stage for a really, really long time. Like, here's the thing is I used to look at like new microphones and stuff like that all the time. And then I got bored of it. I was like, you know what? Like, I've done everything equipment wise. There's like one or two other things that equipment wise might help. And they're kind of like trivial things. They're not really worth the money to me, right? I've done just about everything on the broadcast equipment side that I can do to help the stream, I think. So I don't think that we'll be making very many more investments in the equipment side. I love, you know, like I would love to get more lights, like to get like big old kind of better key lights stuff. The mic looks like Luke Kelly. Who's that? I'm wondering, well, so one of the things I like about this one already is that the plosives are not as bad. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, right? It does no plosive. You don't hear that at all. You would hear some of that on the other mic. It wasn't as bad as like a raw mic. But, and the red one has problems with that too. So when I'm recording, sometimes I will get those plosives because I'm further away from the mic, I guess. not crisp enough. Yeah, it's not as crisp. No, you're right. It's interesting that you can notice that, because usually through YouTube with the audio codecs and everything, it's kind of hard to notice those sorts of things. But that's just the way that it's EQ'd. We could EQ it a little differently, right? In fact, I'm wondering here, I don't think I have... Okay, yeah, I only have the compressor on. And I'm compressing 3 to 1. Oh no, I do have it. I do have one. Oh, that's interesting. So tell me this. How does it sound raw? How does that sound? Does that sound better or worse? I guess I'll have to go myself back. Yeah. That probably is a little bit more clear. I just like the way that it sounds just coming out. I think I'm gonna turn off the equalizer. Yep, I'm just gonna turn that off. Because this one is a little bit more full, so I don't think it needs that boost in the low end. Cool. The orders at the 130 even get creamed. Well, I tell you what, a lot of volume traded there. I wouldn't say creamed. I think that all of the people that executed there wanted to. On OBS, the chat widget has... Oh, I can toggle timestamps. That's nice. It has like this little heart down in the lower corner that sometimes covers up what you guys are saying. It also defaults to top chat, which I don't know what's with that. Send feedback. There, I'll send YouTube some feedback to express my displeasure. Anyways, so on the plosives, I'm wondering how bad are the plosives without the windscreen? Peter Piper picked a peck of peppered pickles. There's a little bit of plosive. It's not too bad. You know, the windscreen doesn't make that much of a difference in the sound. That's interesting. It's not, I mean, this is a little louder, but I think I'm going to leave the windscreen. Now, the one disadvantage that I got, it's better if it's Luke Kelly. Who is Luke Kelly? I'm not sure I know who that is. Oh, yeah, Irish musician, and he's got a big afro, big red afro, curly hair afro. I gotcha. But it looks so good raw. It looks so good naked, don't you think? There we go. Okay, well, I'm really interested in this bounce. I'm kind of wondering, maybe that's as far as I can get. I'm gonna clear above us. 03. There's not a lot of volume between 03 and 07, right? So the distribution may only be up to 03. And if that's the case, then now would be the time to go short. But I'm not actually sure. You think the windscreen looks cool? Oh yeah, so there was a comment earlier where I was putting this all together that I missed, which was they asked if NinjaTrader was good or bad, Mr. KCS. So as it is with most things in trading, there's positives and negatives to everything. The only platform that I would recommend you avoid is MMT, what is it called? MetaTrader. MetaTrader is the only platform that I would like actively avoid. Every other platform has something about it that's good and brings it in its market. That's what happens in a market that is as competitive as the futures trading space, is that people have to specialize, essentially, right? So I think that NinjaTrader has the best charts. There's downsides to it. I'm not a huge fan of their new mobile platform, for instance. But in terms of charting, and then especially in terms of like making your own custom charts, NinjaTrader is the best. It has the best ecosystem. You know, a lot of people like Sierra charts for that, you know, for charts. And there's some nice things about Sierra charts too, but its ecosystem isn't as good. It's your ability to make something really quick isn't as good. Their mobile platform sucks balls. Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of it has to do with the reliability of it, but yeah. Feeling a little faint now, which is weird because I feel like I ate really good. I notice the data lags, really. So this was a thing that got into with there was another platform that was doing like the kind of the cloud platform sort of a thing, and you know, their argument was that because of the way that they did it, that it should be even faster potentially. But I think the thing that ends up being a problem is that you just don't have as much control with a web-based platform over, you know, like when things happen, when garbage collection happens. Is just not as good for an ultra high latency kind of application, you know? And so theoretically it should work well, but in practice I think that, you know, there's kind of some trade-offs for it. If I open the mobile app now, log in with my live account, it's like 5 minutes. Well, now that's got to be something completely different, right? If the data is lagged by 5 whole minutes, like holy crap. Maybe you've got something going on where you're not getting live data on the mobile platform yet. Need to rest, I guess. I just feel, I don't know, this isn't the same as like it usually does, where I like feel nauseous and my foot is bouncing like really hard right now. I think you have to subscribe to the data through them to ditch the lag. Yeah, that's probably it. It probably has to do with your you quit Ninja and feel happily ever after. Oh, right, yeah. If you were on Continuum, then maybe it'd be different, right? I might have been that I ate too many carbs. So what did I eat? I had 2 hash brown patties with ketchup on it. So that's sugar for sure. And then I had 2 sausage links that I cooked in the microwave and a banana. So this is a lot of carbs. Well, it's not like tons of carbs, but I don't think that would like spike my blood pressure per se though. Or not my blood pressure, my blood glucose. Maybe sometimes I run into this thing where like I don't know if it's like I don't have enough salt or whatever, but like usually a Gatorade makes me feel better. I do need to hit the gym. But you know, it's not too bad at the moment. So that's what I'm saying. Like this is a little different than when I start to feel faint. So. I got this I love road sticker and I don't know where I would even put it. Guess I could put it on my clipboard. I have a rack going and you know, that a rack would be a good place to put stickers. But the poles on the rack aren't really actually wide enough to do that. To try and give the rack some personality. You ate a pound of ice cream. I saw this video the other day and they were like, you know, you're not getting the most, like, if you really want to perform, here's what you got to do. And then he got like a box of ice cream out and, you know, totally opened the box. So it was just this giant cube of ice cream and started eating the cube of ice cream. I mean, it was a joke, but of course, but it was like the most random thing ever. I was like, what the fetch did I just watch? It was a little it felt a little disturbing to me. Anyways, Ninja. They, you know what? I've been like, I feel like I've been on a spin where like I'm looking for a reason to hate Ninja for some reason. I don't know why, because like when they did that last upgrade, I was like, oh, now they're gonna upgrade and then I'm not gonna be able to use it anymore. But they continue to release the upgrades for the pre 8.1 branch. So like everything has ended up fine every time, but I just feel like I'm like ready to jump the gun and be like, oh, now it's for sure. I don't know why. But I tell you what, a lot of people left. Like it's slowed down, but like April and May, I had more Jigsaw affiliates than ever. You know, like usually it's like maybe 1 or 2 people a month, and those 2 months there was like 5 each month or something like that. So like I think a lot of people probably did move from Ninja Trader over to like Jigsaw or Seer Charts. You know, if I had something with Seer Charts, I bet you I would have seen an uptick in Seer Charts too. So I don't know. Okay, well, after a little bit of wrangling around and me stressing out about would it stop up here or not, they have come back to 13.015, 01.5 rather, and it's just kind of ranging there now. So it looks like it's gone quiet. A concern that I have today is that we have Chairman Powell speaking tomorrow. So Chairman Powell speaking tomorrow could kind of tamp down on volatility a little bit. And I think you kind of already see that happening a bit. So, you know, speculators seem less likely to want to get into the market because Powell testimony ends up being such a big event. Remember when I used to bash Ninja in the trading groups, the amount of fire from the Ninja sect idol? Yeah, well, I tell you what, people are very defensive of their platform. Cause you know what it is, right? Is when you come in to futures trading which platform you choose to use is like your biggest decision that you have to make, right? It's a decision that everybody has to make, and especially when you're a beginner, you end up putting a lot of thought into that, you know? And so every beginner thinks that they have the best platform, right? But that's why I say that, like, the key thing to understand when you get into this is that every platform has something that is nice about it. You have to do that you have to differentiate, essentially, to be competitive at all. So it's really not like this platform is better than this platform per se. It's really more like this platform is better than this platform for this type of user in this use case, right? But can't expect most people to get that. Right. Like, I like Jigsaw. I think it has the best DOM. I understand why people use Sierra charts, right? It's a slightly different user. There's a lot of crossover, but it's a slightly different person, right? If you're concerned about just having the absolute best DOM, then you use Jigsaw. You know, if you're willing to compromise on that a little bit for a little bit less money a month fee and a better chart ecosystem, then you get Sierra charts, right? TT the best DOM. Well, TT, I don't think that. So I think where the TT DOM fails is in the customization of it, right? It is good though. ATAS platform is good. You know, I don't hear as much about that platform as I would think you should. You know, I don't know why. Maybe it's just the circles that we run in. I don't hear about that platform very often. And TT is, you know, because it's so expensive to use TT. Not very many retail traders are using that one. Everybody wants to think about futures trading as like these people that are throwing around millions of dollars and stuff. But for retail trading, that's not most people, right? Because honestly, if I had like millions of dollars to trade, well, I suppose that because I'm doing it in treasuries and because of the way that I'm doing things, that I would have enough of an edge that it would be totally fine to trade that kind of size. But I don't know if it actually would make sense. I think if I had that much and I was really trying to do risk strategies with it, I would probably be more interested in either running a hedge portfolio of some sort, and using options, you know. So there's reasons why in the futures trading space it tends to be smaller players in the retail side, at least. Okay, I want to add fundamental analysis into my trading. Where can I find quality data / news? Okay, so first thing is I don't like the word fundamental, even though you're totally on the right track. I like to call things predictors of order flows, right? So because it can be based on the fundamentals of the economy, but it can also be based on information that we know about how different kinds of funds work and things like that. And so there's kind of this class of information that's not really technicals as traditionally understood, and not really fundamentals as traditionally understood. And the traditional world of finance, everything focuses on technical versus fundamental. And with our new knowledge about the markets and about the order flow view of markets, that distinction isn't really useful. Okay, so I don't use that word. But in terms of where can you get that data? So first thing is you want to have a news squawk, because breaking news is a really key mover of order flow, right? So I use Financial Juice as my news squawk, and it's about $100 a month. They also have a lifetime subscription. You should have come in last week because they were doing a great deal. They gave you a lifetime subscription for $1,000, but I think that ended on Sunday. Anyways, but I've been using them from the very beginning. It was a little bit of a leap of faith because they hadn't really proved themselves when I purchased it, but it was the best investment I've made in my trading, was getting that news squawk. So having a good news squawk helps. And if you're not willing to pay $100 a month for your news squawk, you can still use Financial Juice, and they have a stream that's just like delayed like 10 seconds or something like that. So for a lot of traders, that, you know, that's sufficient. Okay, so that's the first thing, is use a good news squawk. And then the next thing is that I would look for analyst reports from the top street research firms. Okay, so like you're looking for research coming from JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs. Nomura is one that, especially with rates, is influential. Now, a lot of people will say, like, oh, you know, the analysts are always wrong. For instance, Goldman Sachs, one of their analysts, at least on Goldman Sachs, has been bearish like this whole time, and they kind of recently capitulated, okay? But that's because they're looking at the fundamentals. Only the fundamentals, usually. They do have some guys that are like flow traders. So like John Flood, I think, is the flow analyst over at Goldman. Like when you find reports from him, that stuff is golden. That stuff is golden. Okay. But most of the analysts, they're reporting things from the fundamental side. So what you have to do is you have to say, okay, so here's like the fundamental information about the economy. That's not the only thing that moves orders, right? So you just kind of have to factor it in and understand that the market and the moves that the market is making are not necessarily fully reflective of all of the fundamentals. This morning, we got some like really blowout housing starts numbers. So does the housing starts numbers justifiably bring us down? What? Oh, actually, it was up like 3 basis points. Is that enough? I actually kind of wonder if it's not more than that, right? But the reality is that the reason that the Treasuries moved as much as they did is because that's how many orders sold. Maybe there'll be more orders that will sell later, but it's completely a function of the orders. And the number of orders that are available to trade on any one particular piece of information does not necessarily line up with like what that piece of news really means fundamentally, right? So you have to kind of track those things differently and you know, say, okay, here's what I know about the fundamentals, and I know where we're at on the fundamentals, but I also know that that isn't perfectly reflected over here in the instrument, right? So I have to track them both separately, right? So where do you get this kind of information? Well, this kind of information is much harder to come by. Now, we share a lot of it on Discord, so that's kind of one of the primary uses of the Discord, is to share that kind of information, right? But the best place that I have found is Zero Hedge, because Zero Hedge will find these analyst reports and then summarize them for their viewers. So like Zero Hedge has like a $20 a month subscription that I use, totally worth it. I had been paying for a Bloomberg subscription, which was like a huge mistake, and I don't use that very often. I kind of want to go to the Wall Street Journal, but Zero Hedge also has like $100 a month subscription. So I think that when my Bloomberg subscription ends, that I'll just move over to that. And then there's a lot of analyst reports that you get. So that's kind of the best place that I've found. To me, it looks like attainable data and news numbers are already arbitraged out by fast algos. Well, a lot of it is, but again, the market is not perfectly efficient, right? So I think now could potentially be a good example of a situation that the housing starts was such a strong number. Could that justify it trending all day? It could happen, right? And just because they kind of paused and came back up for a little bit doesn't really tell us, right? all that tells us is that that was kind of the limit of the liquidity at the time. And there could still be big players out there with tons of money to sell. I don't know. But, you know, sometimes you do know. Sometimes it's so clear that that piece of information just absolutely changes everything, and the instrument can move all day, right? So you're right, like most of the obvious opportunities are arbitraged out, but they can't get all of them. It's just not possible for those big players to do it because of how much money they have to move. The amount of money that they have to move is just more than the liquidity can handle, and that's what allows us to stay in the game, right? But in order to play that game, we have to be selective. We have to be selective about when we trade, which can be frustrating sometimes. So I totally understand how you feel on that one, NASDAQ. I have Bloomberg sums. I will try zero hedge, but thanks. Yeah, I have the Bloomberg digital subscription, but I don't find myself reading Bloomberg that much, unfortunately. They just don't. I feel like that Bloomberg is... I thought that Bloomberg would be something really geared towards... relatively geared towards trading, but it really isn't. Like the Bloomberg terminal is, but Bloomberg digital, it's geared towards the average person that is maybe interested in finance, but they're not actively trading, for instance. I think that's what Bloomberg is mostly. Well, with this microphone, I might need to get like a different, maybe I'll get their new Rodecaster interface so that I can mute the microphone, because I don't want you to hear me swallowing and stuff. Anyways, yeah, so then there's also like the Wall Street Journal. So I think that the Wall Street Journal is more geared towards you're like a CEO, for instance, right? So that one, not directly applicable to trading per se, but still a lot of good information and a lot of stuff about the market to read. I think I would probably read the Wall Street Journal more than Bloomberg, but I really haven't found a news source that I really find caters perfectly to traders. Not to like futures trading. If I was doing stocks, it might be worth trying out CNBC. I find you got to be careful. So again, analysts, especially when analysts are recommending individual securities, you got to be careful with that, because if it's widely read, there are going to be people out there buying that security based off of that. And so you usually don't get good deals on those, right? But you can still learn a lot about the market from watching those analysts. Like, don't follow their picks. And instead, what you like Jim Cramer, like people make hay about Jim Cramer all the time. Because they always say, okay, well, if we look at all of the picks that Jim Cramer has made, his performance hasn't been too good. It's so much so that there's been like an inverse Cramer ETF, right? Well, again, he's so widely followed that anytime he says something, if you try and trade immediately after he says something about it, then yes, this is going to be a terrible trade. It's going to be a terrible trade. But here's what you're supposed to do instead. And he even says this in his books. If you go and you read his books, he talks about this, and he gives you like the inside, like, here's how you actually do it. What you actually do is when you watch one of his picks, you look at the things that he's looking for, right? And then you go out and you find your own stocks that have those things, right? And ideally, what you do is you end up picking a stock before he does. So you see all of the information about it, you see it's good, and then he ends up talking about it on its show, and that stock jumps up because of this show, and then you take your profits, right? That's the real way to do those sorts of things, right? So I think you learn a lot from watching CNBC. a lot of people ask me, like, how did you get to the point where you know so much about the market? A lot of it was from obsessively watching CNBC for like 5 years, like all day. Like I would sit at my desk and was working, and I would be listening to it all day. You'll learn a lot from that. But hopefully someday better sources will come out. But for now, I think zero hedge is the best place. I spent way too long on that, but it's a subject I'm passionate about because I think that too many traders rely purely on technical analysis. And it's a little frustrating to me. Yeah. I think so I was saying I've got a lot on my mind this morning. Good things. I don't like talking about like personal life stuff until like maybe long after it's happened, but there's maybe some changes coming in that are good changes. But it makes me think about, because we've been doing this for a long time, right? Whenever I go on Reddit, I'll always see people that'll be like, hey, look, I had my first profitable month. Or, there was this one guy. Oh my gosh. So there's this one guy that came in and wanted to argue with me. And he wanted to, he was pro price action. And I had said something that really bashed on price action. And he was like, if you gone, how long have you gone without having a losing day? And I was like, well, man, if you really were able to go, or I think it was a losing month, actually. It was like, if you're able to go 5 years, okay, because really in our industry, if you're going to be a professional and you want other people to invest in you, like 5-year track record is kind of the standard. And if you don't have a 5-year track record, people are kind of taking a chance on you, right? So how do you go 5 years and not have a losing month, right? Like that is a really super fat-tailed strategy if you're actually pulling that off. Like I would be really suspicious of that strategy. It's so wild to me that in an industry where they don't even pay attention to you unless you have a 5-year track record, that all of the retail traders are making hay about, how well you did over 1 month. The reality of it is that retail traders are not thinking far enough ahead. I guess, you want to do intraday trading. I get it, and everything in our world is kind of geared towards being fast. But the question you really got to ask yourself, if you're going to get into this, you're going to go into intraday trading with futures, right? Is not, the next month. Of course, the next month matters, but you also got to be thinking about the next 5 years. And frankly, the next 30 years, right? What is going to be happening over the next 30 years? What's going to be happening to you over the next 30 years? And where does the futures trading fit into that? I think for a lot of people, they don't think that through, and they think that the futures trading is going to make them a millionaire, and they don't have all of the other pieces in there. And so it doesn't end up working out because it's not really actually in line, right? So what do you do in that situation? Because thinking ahead is so hard, right? Well, all you can do is just make sure that you're at where you're supposed to be, right? Like, are my actions today in line with my long-term goals? Because everybody has this, especially in this economy, man, everybody has this feeling that like they're working really, really hard and they're not getting paid for it, Well, don't worry about that. The only question you should be worried about is, are my actions today in line with my long-term goals? And if they are, then you just got to keep going. And if you're patient enough, hopefully it works out. And if it does, I think what you're going to find is that the real reward was all of the time that you spent when you were doing the hard work and not the destination. Grateful for content creators like you. Yeah, thanks. I try super hard, don't I? Probably I try too hard, but I know. I get frustrated sometimes because there's definitely the majority of retail traders don't want to hear it. You know, they just want to hear, oh, here's this price action set, just trade this, right? And it used to like really bother me because I felt like so many people are being like shortchanged from misinformation out there and everything. But the thing that I've learned over time is that like I'll give people like all of the information that they need, and they don't believe it. You know, I used to always wonder, well, how come the rich don't do more to like help the lower classes break out into the next tier? And I always thought that it was like, well, because they don't want the competition. But when I've interacted with really wealthy people, I have never gotten that sort of a thing from them. It's always been, you're having a personal conversation with them, they're willing to tell you anything that will help you, right? And they want you to be successful. So what is actually, why don't you actually get more of that? Well, you can't help people that don't help themselves, right? And so in the trading in particular, you go out and you give all of the correct information to people. They don't use it. They ignore it, or they mock it, or they outright reject it, right? So if you're trying to help, what can you do? There is nothing you can do, because these people are going to trade the way that they're going to trade, no matter what you say to them, right? And in that situation, the only thing that you can do is, find out when they're going to figure out when they're going to be wrong, trade against the strategy, and deploy the capital more wisely than they would. Trade against it and make money from the people that have these misconceptions about the market. I don't know what else you can do, you know? And so when I started to come to that, I kind of stopped worrying about it. I said, well, okay, I guess that means that I'm just interested in my own trading and my own community, and I don't care what other people are doing. So now I don't concern myself with it as much. Well, geez, that was a pretty strong clawback. I don't have any. Oh, okay. Whoa. Breaking. Hunter Biden has agreed to plead guilty to multiple criminal charges. Justice Department charges Hunter Biden with federal tax and weapons offenses. That's not enough. That's not enough. That is actually... that is going to be infuriating to conservatives. That's going to be infuriating to Republicans and conservatives, because there's evidence that Hunter Biden has basically been involved in like outright bribery, and then filtering the money to his relatives and Joe Biden. And if the Justice Department just settles with him and he pleads guilty to these two relatively trivial charges, and then they don't investigate the fraud, or sorry, the bribery, right? That's basically letting him fall on a trivial thing so that they don't have to investigate the bigger problem that they don't want to look at, right? That's how that's gonna go. Surely I can't be the only person that's gonna pick up on that, but so like I bet you if we come over here to Reddit, there's certainly not as much activity on Reddit anymore, but it's the best we got, so Oh, doesn't look like anybody's submitted it yet. Anyways, that's probably not why we're seeing the treasuries retrace here. We did get a pretty significant move in the dollar, though. So that must have something to do with the euro. And interestingly enough, gold is not moving. Gold is still towards its lows. This could present a very interesting trading opportunity to us. Because certainly there are reasons to believe that today should be a sell day because of the housing numbers. But we completely retraced that and moved broke new highs. So now I don't know why. I don't think that there's news driving this. So here, when did it start? It's been about 10 minutes. Let me just come back here a little bit, make sure that I didn't miss an earlier headline. ECB bond holdings under PEPP at 1.67 trillion euros as of last week. ECB, that might be what did it. That might be why there was a shift. So if that is the case, that could be a temporary flow, and we might be able to wait for that flow to subside and then sell again. But let's just kind of let it play out for a little bit. Decent MBO offers across the strip. The bid the bid size on the DOM is definitely thickened up, hasn't it? And they are running into a bit of liquidity up here. You know, like 6K is traded at 11.5, so. White House will kick off a week-long push to highlight the impacts of the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade with a roundtable discussion Tuesday. Shift in political strategy from the White House? That's what I'm reading that one as. Okay, it looks like they are coming back a little bit now. So I think in my earlier days, I might have tried chasing that. But I want to see it settle a little bit first before I try doing something. Oh, okay, now somebody submitted it to Reddit. I guess I get to be the first one to comment on it, huh? Huh? Well, those offers stacked up awfully quick behind it when it fell. So I'm definitely seeing activity that suggests larger players are moving in the market, right? In this situation, though, I'm a little unsure if they're buying or selling. I guess because I don't really know what caused the buy. Oh, interesting. Andrew Tate and brother charged with rape and human trafficking. They actually finally charged him, huh? Shall we read that? Controversial social media star Andrew Tate and his associates have been charged in Romania with human trafficking and rape months after his dramatic arrest and detention. Tate, his younger brother Tristan, and 2 other unnamed Romanian associates have been charged with engaging in organized criminal activity, human trafficking, rape, and violence. Romania's Directorate for Investigating Organized Crime and Terrorism said in a statement, investigators allege that the 4 accused carried out human trafficking both in the territory of Romania and other countries, including the US and UK, since 2021. The victims were allegedly recruited by the defendants after being lured by false promises of marriage/cohabitation, the statement adds. The investigators allege that a total of 7 victims were recruited by Tate and his associates, after which they were forced to make pornographic content, which was later shared on social media. According to the BBC, the Romanian judge overseeing the case now has 60 days to review the evidence against Tate and his associates before sending the case to trial. Okay, the judge has 60 days. Tate has not commented on the indictment, but retweeted a fan account that wrote, "No judge has reviewed the evidence against him." What to watch for? Tate also faces a separate civil suit in the UK from 4 women who accuse him of rape and sexual assault. The 3 women had initially planned to bring a civil suit against Tate before a 4th accuser joined them in April. Yeah, see, this is what I was saying before, is like, I kind of feel a little bit agnostic on Tate largely. I mean, I guess I could go over certain opinions of his and how I feel about them, but like, I don't really care about him as a person or anything. Like, I'm not personally involved, but all of the stuff that I ever saw from him on, you know, him talking about how he made his money and everything, kind of sounded like human trafficking to me. Kind of sounded to me like he was bragging about human trafficking. Like it was basically saying like you'd lure them in and then you'd convince them to become a cam model for you. And, you know, be controlling and all of these sorts of things. Yeah, it's human trafficking. It's not like human trafficking like I guess we typically think of it as, like you kidnap them against their, you know, like it's not human trafficking like in what's that movie where the father's daughter gets kidnapped and then he goes on a rampage and saves her with Liam Neeson. man. What is it called? Taken? Is it called Taken? I can't remember. Anyways, that's what we typically think of as. But no. Real human trafficking often involves like coercion, right? Well, they fell back down here a little bit more quickly than I thought. I'm still kind of waiting to see if they're able to find, like, they form a hole or something. It might not happen. Like, the thing is that up move was so quick. Like, if somebody came back and sold, and in the 10-year, you are seeing that in the 10-year, the cumulative delta is net sell at the moment. It could flip back down around before we even know what's going on. Well, there's an iceberg at 08 half, so that might be what we're looking for. So let's clear things again. Like, what I'd really like to see is it pause for a little bit, and then you see signs that somebody is coming in a large meta order sell, coming in, taking over, and retracing that whole move down. I don't know if it's been a long time since we've seen, like, this one was, okay, big news down. It waited the 45 minutes, but then big move up kind of retraced it. I guess the liquidity had probably recovered by that amount. Otherwise, it probably would have gone higher. Okay, but then we're going to retrace it back the other way again. That's more rare. We haven't seen that much action in the treasuries lately. But again, because I don't understand why we bought, I think that puts me in a precarious situation. So I really, really want to take a trade right now, but I don't think I should. When I see it moving like that, it's kind of hard not to do anything. But if I'm not the informed trader, then I probably shouldn't touch it, right? Oh, let's see here. There's more from that story. Tate, a self-proclaimed misogynist, has been under house arrest in Romania since March as investigators build the case against him. Controversial influencer was taken into custody in late December last year by Romanian authorities after 6 victims accused him and his associates of engaging in sex trafficking. The arrest was vaulted into the social media spotlight as it came weeks after he was reinstated on Twitter by Elon Musk, who reversed a ban on him making hateful and misogynistic content. Tate immediately began a public feud on the platform with 20-year-old Swedish climate activist Greta Thunberg by posting about his 33 luxury cars and their enormous emissions. They asked for her email address to send more details, prompting Thornburg to respond with a fake email idea, smalldickenergy.getalife.com, which led to Tate getting widely mocked. Initial rumors suggested investigators used clips from his online feud with Thornburg to confirm his location, but that has since been debunked. Interesting. Because I think there was a lot of people waiting on him, like, coming back or something. I don't think he's coming back. No, I think if you want that ultra conservative red pill kind of combative kind of personality fix, you probably Pearl is the best source of that right now. But she's not in the hustle, so she's not a good replacement for him, is she? What a shitty way for the Tate. Yeah, right? I just can't. I mean, he wants to brag. He wants to have, put all of his cars on and say, how amazing am I because I have all these cars and everything. I think the way that he made his money is shameful. Just shameful. I mean, I guess being a quote unquote online pimp could be a legitimate business, but that just seems like something that would have too much opportunity for you to coerce and do immoral things to your employees. And it sounds like that's what Tate was doing. So he said, hey, look, we can get married and everything. You come to Romania. She moves over. He's like, okay, you're my girlfriend now. But actually, he has like 6 girlfriends. And he insists that you make some money, so you have to stream for him. And the kind of person that you're going to target would probably be somebody that I guess would be okay doing that. And then, yeah, guess what? That's called human sex trafficking. I guess I find it interesting because when he got arrested, there was a lot of people trying to say that, like, these are all fake. You know, he got too powerful, and so the deep state came after him. But, like, the charges are in line with something that I think he was always bragging about, that was very concerning. And so when people were saying, oh, he'll get off, I was like, no, I don't think it's going to go that way. I think that they have some real serious charges against him. And there's tons of videos I could show you where he's basically admitting to doing that. That's what he's doing. So. Alligator Euro data is bad. RNC Research quoting CBS, Hunter Biden's plea agreement likely to be very controversial as congressional investigations raise very serious questions about Biden's business deals with Chinese nationals as well as this Ukrainian energy firm Burisma. This may just be the beginning. I would hope that it's just the beginning, but I'm kind of concerned that they're doing it so that it, it stops. I'm kind of wondering if the White House is going and saying, hey, what we're doing right now is not working and we're on a bad path towards being able to win in 2020, and so we need to pivot. And so how would you pivot? Try and bury the Hunter Biden thing quickly. Take the loss and then bury it quickly, and then pivot to where your strength has been, which is abortion access, right? And so what are you seeing today? Hunter Biden's going to plead guilty, and Biden's going to start talking about abortion access. Last euro current accounts should push the euro down, but overnight some CB central banks promised another hike in July. Some more buying in the 5 years. So it looks like the buy side flows are not subsiding. So very good that I did not take a trade there because I was not able to predict those flows. We could try going along with it. In fact, that right there is worth a sim trade. A little slow on the draw, but I guess we're still in a situation where it's possible for it to flip back down. Mohammed El Arian, Fed Chair Powell's message to markets was confused and confusing. Okay. Oh man, look at that huge order at 12.5. Yeah, that kind of like before she goes setup worked pretty well. At least I got the one tick out of it. Kind of want to see now. I think that I will hold on to it to see if they're able to bust through the 12.5. So I'm still unsure why we're seeing buying flows, but it's strong enough that I could probably try just going with the momentum now at this point, because there's like that 16 above us. Yeah, so now other political commentators are picking up on the same thing that I am. Ed Morrissey, a cushy plea deal for a president's son doesn't exactly scream equal justice under the law, especially not after Merrick Garland's malicious prosecution of Mark Hook on felony charges on the FACE Act for an argument in front of an abortion clinic. And let's not overlook the fact that this resolves Hunter's case just as Democrats want to make Joe's case to the American public. How convenient. Yeah. ECB's Simkus. I would not be surprised if we raised rates in September. That doesn't make sense why would not last. Euro current accounts should push the euro down on overnight, but CB's promised another hike in July if they go on. EU should recede deeper Q4, Q1 with Italy and France at risk, possibly another crisis. I don't know. This move was very driven by the euro. Oil coming down. Simkus will be in a floor system for some time into the future. Huh. Okay. And that one was easy. A little bit more volatility here than usual. So that could be causing another liquidity haul. I don't know. The big order at 12.5 isn't there anymore. Probably turned into an iceberg. Yeah. Forex Live tweets, gold falls $16 in quick round of selling. Hmm. Oh, look at them jump up there, yeah. Yeah, Powell will be testifying to Congress tomorrow. So it's like usual, like sometimes the market does move significantly on his testimony and on his opening statement in particular, but I find that often he doesn't say anything that we didn't already know. And so really the real effect is that it kind of tamps down on market volatility until his testimony happens. But we were concerned about that, and I think that we did start to see some of that happen, where the activity kind of died out. But then this huge buy flow came in out of nowhere, and I'm still not sure what's causing it, but it sure looks like a powerful flow. They're having a hard time. Well, did they clear 12.5? It looks like maybe they did. I don't like that last 2 ticks there. I might have to bail on this sim trade. I'm gonna try and hang on, but that came back a little bit too quickly for my comfort. Yeah, this Hunter Biden plea deal thing, it's Republicans are pissed. I had thought for a moment there was a good chance for me to get filled again at 10.5 again, but I passed on that one. But I guess it would have worked. I don't think in that particular instance the risk would be worth it. I got to be a little careful about adding on here too much because we are definitely like stuck in a hole. I guess if I really want to go long, this is an okay spot, but have to start to get a little bit worried that we've been in here long enough and that they're going to start messing around with you to stir up more liquidity. Alligator says because investors think the ECB is inept, ultimately forced to reverse course sooner rather than later. Maybe. $108 evens are yeah. Well, I think that they're definitely running into some liquidity issues at the moment, but the market order flows coming in long still look incredibly powerful. So I'm a little bit weary about coming over here into my live account and trying to go short rates at like 3.715 because I'm concerned that like maybe you get another push and we get like 3.705. So like it's worth $10. I don't know if the reward is worth it. And I'm still feel like out of the loop, you know? Clearly there's enough momentum to do it, but because I don't know why, I don't know if this trade completely makes sense. It looks like risk off flows to me. Because I think one of the problems was that I was seeing selling coming into both treasuries and equities was my prediction based off of money supply being drained and so forth. But now the move that I'm getting is risk off flows based on no clear catalyst. I'm out of the loop somehow. Right? I'm even thinking here on this sim trade that I probably should have tried taking like 12 or something like that. I think I will. I'll put my order there, see if it gets filled. Because it's still flapping around quite a bit, so I might have the chance to get long again here. We'll see. Oh man, here's a great thread on Reddit that's just perfect for us. Hey, r/day trading, are there any trading YouTubers that aren't full of poop? Like ones who actually make money from trading and not marketing revenue? Chat with Traders has lots of good guests. Except for that, oh, did somebody else got to take over that? Oh, I did not know that. Listen to them before the new hosts took over, since the new hosts took over, the guests are just as questionable as any other furu. He-Man trading. I don't know too much about this guy other than that he exposed another YouTube channel for copying other YouTubers' content. Yeah. Plus, they're right. It's like mostly about psychology. See, I bet you nobody's gonna mention me in this thread. That's sad. Oh man, is it gonna keep going without me? That sucks. No courses or affiliate links? Is that the standard now? So we can't have any courses or affiliate? I think that that's like an extremely unlikely hurdle. Like, I again, this all kind of stems from the average retail trader's misconception that all of the best traders are making millions of dollars from doing this, and that's not actually how it works. And if you're really trading consistently, the rewards are not going to be that great unless you already started with a huge wad. Oh, so you didn't? No, of course not. I told you I went on vacation. I would be back. I don't think I would ever go away. I would never give up on the community, but I guess there could be some situations where I might not be able to stream anymore. That could potentially happen. You know, like if Citadel came along and said, "Hey Seth, we really want you to work for us," you know, you don't say no. That's like saying no to the mafia, right? I would have to do it, and then I probably wouldn't be able to stream anymore. But otherwise, I'm not going anywhere. Like my plan here is 40 years from now, I'll still be on YouTube. That's my plan. How high do you think that the treasuries can go here, man? This is quite the flow. Look at the reloading right there at 13. I'm going to try that one too if they fill me. I think I'm probably already too late. Anyways. What is driving UST? Yeah, I don't know, man. It seems to me that all of the sudden the treasuries decided to go on a risk-off bender. Alligator is saying stuff about like ECB numbers and stuff like that. There doesn't appear to be like a clear news catalyst though. It kind of looks like maybe it was a more passive flow. Like they waited for the housing starts number to come down and push them down, and then they bought it back up like crazy time. But it does look, I mean, the S&P 500 is not falling as much as I would expect to see in like risk off flows across the markets, but I do think that risk off is the primary driver behind this move in the treasuries. But it's kind of moving largely on its own. There was a move in the dollar, but like, look at this. The dollar came down, dollar came back up. US treasuries did not completely follow that reversal, okay? Gold did not move at all. So come back over here to the charts, right? Gold is just all down. Gold is just all down. The one thing that is definitely moving is oil. So oil moved and treasuries moved. That kind of suggests to me some sort of risk off flow. And it's probably not just a US thing. Okay, I don't recognize that number, but I'm going to answer the phone here. Hold on. Man, what kind of phone scammer calls you at 8:14 in the morning? Anyways, did I get the volume right on here again? Yeah, I'm gonna need an interface with a mute button on it, I think. So I said when I took this, I said I'm not confident taking it on my live account because I'm out of the loop and I think maybe I get 10 ticks out of it. So if I had taken that trade, that would have worked out, right? So now the key question is, does it keep going? Did they get below 3.7? I think probably we could get to 3.7. But if they start to go significantly below 3.7, then I definitely was wrong, right? There's definitely way more going on than I realize. This is like a very powerful looking, like look, it ticked up. It didn't hit my orders, right? It was like the iceberg hit it and then it came up. Well, okay, they got below the iceberg there at 14. And that kind of suggests it's got to be a little bit more careful. So on the sim here, maybe I'll put it a little bit lower. But if this was like the target right here, 3.705, it doesn't necessarily make sense for me to try and get in the micros. Over here in the treasury, I might be able to pull another tick or two out, so it might make sense over here. But I think I'll only do one one lot instead of 2 or 3 like I was doing. Have you created? Not lately. I mean, I kind of trying to get away from indicators, right? I mean, that we can definitely gain some useful stuff from the market. It's just I don't think that what we get is as useful as some of the other research that we can do, right? No, I've been trying to do a lot more research on this machine learning side. I think the book that I got is a little bit too complicated for me. I think I need to find a different book. Because they're all talking about Bayesian math and stuff like that, and a lot of it is just going over my head. I would need to have taken a better statistic course on Bayesian math to begin with, I think. Plus, I picked up another. I got Series 3 study materials, so I'm doing that. I tell you what, though, after having gone through the Series 3 material, I mean, it's definitely something that, you know, I'm gonna have to study for and spend some time for it and everything. But pretty much everything that was in there was stuff that I knew. Pretty much everything that was in there was stuff that I knew. And it kind of makes me wonder, why do I not hear about more retail trading guys turning over and becoming CTAs or starting their own commodity trading pools? Why is that not something that I've heard a lot about? Because it seems like it's a fairly straightforward thing to do. I think you already have the math for stats. So there's kind of this advanced level of statistics that takes into account calculus, like when you start getting into Brownian motion and stuff like that. And like one of the issues is that like most people's basis understanding in statistics is like the traditional standard model of looking at statistics rather than the Bayesian model of looking at statistics, which is like a very different way of doing it. And the book is talking so much about the statistics and the math behind it that it's kind of hard for me. I thought it was a book, maybe this was some other book that I had looked at where they had like Python and they're like, we're going to go through and do all of these different examples and stuff. This book didn't have that. I thought that this book did. For practical. Well, yeah. And that's why I'm saying like, this just seems like a book written for like a really advanced graduate course and isn't so much the practical side. So then there's the other book that I did that's about high frequency trading for bonds and stuff. I think that that'll be interesting, but the concern I have with that book is that I'll be able to go through a lot of examples, but it won't be directly relevant to my retail trading. So another iceberg at 13, huh? Well, with the way that they're trading, whatever it is that's causing this buying, he may just get like filled and they finish. Potentially, because there's been pretty strong flows pushing against it and they just like absorbed most of it. So. Oh, you're talking about Akshay? I haven't heard from him in a week or two, but he'll come back. I think that, you know, they're busy with school. Actually, maybe not. Now that it's summer, maybe I don't know what he's doing for summer. He might be watching and just not saying saying much. Well, every time that I'm thinking that like, oh, maybe it's done, and I kind of shy away from taking the fills, and then I look away for a second and I come back and it's right back up at the highs again. Good grief. The flows themselves though have calmed down a little bit, okay? Like it's slightly positive here in the Treasury, but it's definitely more nuanced than that. It's not like a clear trend in cumulative delta. So that still has me a little bit concerned about if there's really a whole lot left in this move. Yeah, if I really wanted to be in a position, I would probably have to cross the spread. Well, you know, actually, no. I think that I definitely could have gotten filled in a bunch of spots on here on icebergs. I would have had to have been a little bit more proactive about it. Like, I was waiting until, like, I had already seen, like, 3,000 contracts trade before I decided to put a contract on and see if they would fill me. Right? That's a little bit too behind the curve to work in this market. Sure. Well, you could always be adversely selected against, but I think in this situation, that's fine. So like one of the keys is do I have evidence that like we're creating the liquidity hole and that I'll be able to trade this as a range? Especially if we're like early on. It looks like I probably should be able to get some between 13.5 and 14. But the range may be a little bit wider than that. So that's why I kind of have that order down there. But I don't know. I'm actually, given the time frame and everything, I think I'm going to cancel that order because I don't know. I still just, I'm too out of the loop to understand what's driving the flow. Ergo, it's too difficult for me to know if the flow is really going to continue or not. This has already been substantially more powerful than I thought. I mean, like again, the housing starts number that we got was really strong. Like that was a really huge beat. That was a really huge beat. And so, you know, when they were at the lows, I was kind of like, I missed it. I'm not in a good position to be able to trade it. But this is totally something that could go further. So for that to have completely reversed and then pushed as far as it has the other way is really jolting, really surprising to me. That means that I do not have a good handle or good edge today on what the flows are, right? Because I don't know why they're buying. Your depth tape? Oh, yeah. So for the treasuries, I'm using like 1,000, I think. Let me check. 900. I have 900 for the treasury. And for ES, I'm using 150. Yeah. It might be time for me to go and do that study again. Buyers are getting weaker. Yeah. But I mean, they keep pushing the highs on price. Like it could totally bust through and you get another burst of volume. That's the thing. It's like it's not backing off at all. Even though the volumes have kind of changed, price is still just like stuck up there. Well, Bitcoin is finally taking a little bit of a drop there. Interesting that the dollar took that huge drop and recovery and now a push higher. So now the ultimate direction in the dollar once again suggests risk off. But the one that baffles me here still is, why did gold not recover? Gold got just absolutely hammered today, and there's absolutely no pushback at all when the treasuries are coming back this strong. I think today was triple witching repossess. Okay, well, so that's a good theory. I don't know if that would be as strong of a force in the treasuries themselves, but in the S&P 500, that's probably a significant factor in the selling for sure, right? You know, I've got distracted. I forgot we were talking about this thread here, and they were saying no courses or affiliate links. So I think this stems from the idea that everybody seems to think that if you're good at trading, that you should be making millions of dollars. But really, if you're trading consistently, you know, you might be getting like 30% gains, but like it really depends on how much money you had to start with and so forth. And so, it totally makes sense that a lot of people that they're retail traders, but they're doing pretty well, that they would still want to be making money from the YouTube channel or affiliate links and things like that. And especially since, you know, from my perspective, like I have the Jigsaw affiliate links, right? Like I don't just pick up anything for an affiliate link. I only put affiliate links in there on things that I really believe in. And so I feel like that making it an affiliate link kind of adds value in itself, right? Rather than just that you make money from it. So I think that kind of like, I would only pay attention to somebody if they had no affiliate links in their profile, I think would be a filter that would probably filter out people that are actually going to give you good information. I find it really interesting every time I read a thread like this that I don't get mentioned, but there's tons of people that I've never heard of before that do. What's with that? Also, traders are afraid to size up, so after a year, they still trade the same size. Well, that's, I definitely fit in that category, don't I? I think I'm close to the point where I would like to size up, but I'm not going to do it in the summer, right? So I would like to size up in a period where we're getting moderate activity again, and it's like regular liquidity. Oh, just to 2 or 3 contracts with micros, because my issue is, like I tell you, I don't care about the money per se. I mean, like I have a day job. Listen, I have a day job, make over 6 figures on the day job. You know, why would you give that up? Right? So like consistent income, that's a lot of income, right? The trading is kind of a side thing. And really ultimately, I think that, you know, because if I was making hundreds of thousands of dollars, probably what I would do is I would put all of that money into kind of more of a hedge fund type account that I was running my own, and I would still be keeping the futures relatively small, I think. Just because, you know, like the numbers and the stats and everything, like there's more capital available for you the higher time frame you go, right? But I do want to size up to the point where, like, you know, because a lot of my profits right now go into paying the data fees, right? So if I could size up 2 or 3 more contracts, then I would definitely be clearing that. I'd definitely be clearing that threshold every month, and that would make it a lot easier to build the account slowly. You know, you're giving up a 200K plus job this year. Well, yeah, I tell you, that one's the kind of like the interesting thing to me is like, okay, so for you to really make a living from futures trading, you have to have a pretty big wad to trade to begin with. Like if you want to make 6 figures and you have 6 figures saved up, you still have to double your money every year, and that's hard, right? And you have to have the financial stability to be able to do that, so that like if it doesn't work out, you don't lose everything, right? So who has the ability to do that? Like you had to have been somebody that was already making a ton of money. And why would you give up that other job? right? So the problem I continually see is that the people that would have the ability to do it the way that retail traders want to is unlikely to do it, unless you get somebody like Brad here, who is crazy, right? Like you guys here on the stream that are just obsessed with it no matter what. And then it would maybe make sense. Because it's like, if I can make the same amount of money, but I can do the thing that I truly love, then it's a different thing, right? Like a professional athlete, get a psychologist, not discuss in trading that much? Well, yeah, because most retail traders aren't actually profitable, right? Like, that's the issue, is that all of the psychology is useless if you don't actually have a good strategy, right? And since most people's quote unquote good strategy is technical analysis, right? Like I think the psychology of technical analysis is very different from the psychology of like all other trading, right? So like when it's technical analysis, what is it? Okay, number one is trading your strategy consistently, right? And number two is being in a place for you to be able to actually see your data correctly, right? Now, if you're really truly doing technical analysis, the way that all of the technical analysis gurus are advocating, it shouldn't really be very discretionary. But it sure seems like that the people that trade that they have their good days and their bad days, don't they? Right? Okay. And a lot of it is kind of gaslighting yourself to some extent, right? Because it really is like you have to trust in the strategy, even though you really don't have any reason to do so. Because most retail traders just don't have enough stats to really back up their technical analysis strategies. If they did, they probably wouldn't trade them, right? So that's the kind of the psychology that most people talk about. But then when you take it on the other side, which is informed trading, like what we're trying to do, I only want to take a trade when I really actively know something. So the psychology ends up being a little bit different, right? So the first thing is you've got to be your absolute tops all the time, because you've got to perform better than everybody else, right? Like if you have to have an edge over other people, right? You've got to be quicker, you've got to be more informed, you've got to be all of these other things. And so that really means like you've got to live your life like a professional athlete. Like you got to eat good, you got to sleep good, all of these. That becomes a lot more important in that situation. But another thing is understanding yourself well enough to know when you're likely to be right and likely to be wrong. Like here today, I think is a good situation. Now that we're to 113.12, right? If I had taken any kind of a trade, I might have made $10 off of it. And if I had tried to let it ride, I would probably be scratching right now, right? So I know I'm not in the know, right? I know that I'm out of the loop right now, and so I don't take a trade, right? And that's a that is the most difficult thing in trading. I've found for me that it was the most difficult thing in trading to get over and the skill to build. How do you do that? I'm not entirely sure, but a lot of it was understanding myself and how my brain works, and you know why I feel the desire to take a trade in certain situations, so that I can come in and say, well, I really want to trade because it moved, but I don't actually know what's going on, so I don't have the edge, so I shouldn't trade, right? That was hard to do, and I only came to that point after many years of struggling with that, right? Those are the sorts of things that I think you end up going on the psychology side. And that's where, like, having a performance psychologist, for instance, ends up being really useful to you, right? But it's like a different kind of psychology. And again, it's like not even useful to you if you're not informed to begin with, you know? If you're not informed to begin with, then it's all random, and all the feedback that you're getting is random anyways. And so any kind of development that you're trying to do is just spinning your wheels, because you don't have a real strategy that has edge, right? If you've got some technical setup that's been back tested over 5 years and does good, then that's a different story. And you should contact me and we'll start a fund. Or you should start a commodities. So if you start a commodities trading pool and there's less than, I think it's like there's less than, is it 5 participants or 15 participants, something like that, and you're not being paid to run the pool. So you're running it like not for profit or whatever, you know, as a favor, then you don't have to register. So go do that. Go do that. Maybe trade bigger size, or go and get the Series 3, because it's only like $300, I think, for the materials, and it looks like a pretty simple thing, and I don't understand why more people don't do it. But I guess I'm gonna go and I'm gonna get it and I'm gonna do it and I'm gonna try and do something with it, and then maybe we'll see why not very many people do it. Bids are really pulling here. Yeah, I mean, we just ran into some decent icebergs at 12 and 12.5. It might actually bounce back up into the other half of this range again. It certainly does feel like they've kind of reached the extents of their liquidity, right? Like, you would have to have another really strong fresh flow to come in here now, I think, to extend this range further, right? Oh, I missed your earlier comment here, D. Is there a way to get your market depth to sum up the total for X amount of minutes? I'm not sure that would make sense. So on the Jigsaw DOM, if you go to the, well, I don't have it turned on, but you can turn on a feature where it will show you the total cumulative depth at the very top, right? But like, you know, what are you going to do? Are you going to say, what were all of these levels at the end of each minute, and then add them up for the last 10 minutes? Why? I think that just seeing the absolute cumulative depth and the difference between them is enough to be able to see that change that you can see yourself on the DOM. Oh, okay. Did they actually pull? So oh, you know what? I'm not, am I on? No, I'm on ZN0923. My market depth tape didn't see a big pull in ZN. You said 1731 bid pulled. I don't see that. Maybe it was because it was a bunch of different orders that all canceled. But it's interesting. There was some icebergs down there at 12.5 and 12, and like they immediately bounced off of it, right? So I would say that this whole area in here is sketchy. Can I put it that way? Like they've cleared it so much, it's very easy for them to trade across it now. That means there is a higher bar now for them to break out of this range, right? It will require a stronger flow for them to break out. Doesn't mean that they can't do it, just means it'll require a strong flow. The market depth tape add-on? Sure, it's very simple. So if I have at 113.16 4,108 contracts, right? Okay, right now. I want to know when something happens that makes that change, right? Like if we got up to it and there was a big 2000 lot on there and the 2000 lot canceled, then what happens is I see, okay, the previous volume at that level was 4164, and now it is 2000, right? Then I know that there was a change that was bigger than my size, and then it shows up in the depth tape. That's how it works, right? So it has to be one order that, you know, in one depth change, it changed that much. So if there are like 6 updates, and over the course of 6 updates, 2000 contracts pulled off, then that won't necessarily show up, right? So in the case of this big order at 131.16, and I'm sure those of you with MBO data could probably tell us, but I'm going to bet that when it increased from the 3,000 that was on there to the 4165, that it was probably a bunch of different orders that did it, and that it was kind of more the liquidity rolling out in front of the move. And just yeah, the market depth tape. That's exactly what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. An entry. So I'll show you over here in the ES, because there's actually some that have shown up there. I would think that there should be some in the ZN today, but for some reason, I'm not seeing them. Let me check the properties real quick. Min size 900. I don't know. Okay, but over here in the treasury, right? So like when you see 151, that means that there was 151 contracts added in one update. In one update, there was 151 contracts added. That's what it means, right? And then the different colors are to tell you, was it a bid and was it stacking or pulling, or was it an offer stacking and pulling, right? So it can alert you to a large order happening. So for instance, if there's a spoof, if somebody stacks a ton on there and then pulls and it trades through it without any volume trading, then you'll see it here on the market depth tape. Oh yeah, there was like 2,000 contracts, and it just, you know, I would see on the offer and it pulled, right? So it'd be like the orange red color, right? And then I can take a screenshot of that and put it on Twitter and say like, look, here's was the pull, because it's directly showing you that order canceling essentially. So that's why it's useful. And then you can set up a sound to it so that I know if I hear a click, if I hear that little click sound, then I need to go and check my DOM, because there was a like liquidity just shifted in a big way. Right. So that's why it's useful, because I would all the time, I would find myself in these situations where it was like, you know, there's this huge order sitting there, and I'm like, well, when did that happen? Pick sent via disk. You know, I don't think I see that unless you put it in like one of the chat channels. There you are. Maybe I need to... It is 09, right? ZN 09 2023. I could switch it to like ZB and then switch it back to ZN. Is there something in your settings you've done? No, it's probably correct. And I have mine 000900 show bid, show offers in the file location. I don't know. Unless something's wrong, and like maybe I could like I could close that, open it back up. I wonder if mine got messed up from like the contract rollover or something like that. So see, if I don't put any kind of filter on it at all, then I get tons of changes come through, right? So that's why I put it to something more like I hate it keeps opening up on the other screen. Minimum size is 50. Let's put it to minimum size 500. We'll see if I get anything. There's one 500. So I think 500 is not enough. I think that in this environment that I want thousands. I'm going to change it. And oh yeah, see you're just using a much smaller threshold than me, right? 485. So it's saying that like a big 1000 one pulling hasn't happened yet. But you do have one that's like negative 1731, so I don't know why that one didn't show it for me. But maybe my component was messed up somehow, because it's been open in my workspace for so long, and maybe the control didn't handle the rollover correctly or something. So I'm gonna go check on something. I'll be back real quick, okay? All right. Sorry. You know what? I didn't realize what time it was. I was like, I gotta go check. So for those of you, we still got people left, right? Yeah, no, we're good. So for those of you that weren't here at the beginning of the stream, what do you think about the audio? Can you tell a difference? Is it better, worse? Hopefully it's better, but I guess it shouldn't really be too different from before. But I like it. I like it. It's pretty good. I was worried, like people were saying you need a shock mount and everything. Well, I guess if I bang on the desk, you can kind of hear it, but I'd say overall it's, yeah, I'd say it's pretty good. The internal shock mount is good enough that that's not too big of a problem for me. So, and the windscreen I think does a good enough job at the plosives. So, I think overall it's a slight upgrade. I will have to change my audio interface at some point though. So. Well, no comments, that must mean it's probably fine. That or it's so awful that you're not even listening anymore. Man, so the flows have still subsided here in the treasuries, but it continues to, like, you know, I would expect it to settle here where the most volume traded, but I continue to see them like kind of press the upper side of it. So Amir says it's good. Okay. Well, I want to know if you like it better or worse than before, or if it just doesn't seem like it's too big, you know, like you can't really tell too big of a difference. Anyways, I'm concerned that this could keep going. I mean, it probably shouldn't, but because I really just can't imagine what could be going on that would create that strong of a flow that it continues to press, you know? But there's definitely something going on that I'm not privy to. But I guess, you know, we've got Powell tomorrow. We'll see how that all plays out, right? Should have come in. I mean, I guess I could have made 10, 15 bucks from it, and I'd feel good about it, but I'm okay with having not traded today. I don't think that I'm in the right spot for it, so. Anyways, I guess I'll see you guys tomorrow. Wild reversal. Treasuries wild reversal. Yeah, that's a very interesting move today. Very curious to see, you know, what the driver was and how the rest of the week goes. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. In the meantime, stay excellent.